Hello, I am Frederick Crawford, and I'm doing my next live about the seventh circle. As you can see, based on my screen, I have a master's degree in chemical engineering, and I want to take the time out to talk a little bit more about fractions and decimals. All right, so what we need is to make sure that our students are knowing more and more about decimals, understand the patterns that come with different decimals, and so forth. So, what I want you to take away from this presentation is to learn how you get decimals from dividing the numerator and the denominator of fractions. In addition, the goals are for you to understand the trends that follow and unit fractions. For now, I will define unit fractions as fractions whose numerator is 1. So here goes some example of unit fractions from when the denominator is 2 all the way to when the denominator is 12. So I'm going to give you some time to look at that. All right. Now, as you can see, when we follow these trends of fractions and when we follow these trends, what we're going to see is that the fractions, the decimals tend to decrease as the denominators increase. So notice our denominator is 2. We were from point 0.5. Now when the denominator is 3, we go to point 0.3 repeating. When 4 is 0.25, then it's 0.2. Always make sure you look at these with a very fine eye. If you have not at this point, please make sure you're on the Nearpod because the Nearpod does give you everything that you need. So you guys should be here with me on this Nearpod, and we just covered the first 3 slides. Now I'm going to start a time to climb. Let's go ahead and see how this game goes. And the thing is, with the time to climb, you can join as the game is playing. Okay. All right. Yes. So we do have 2 players. For the sake of time, we're just going to start the game. And let's see what you know. Guessing is good. Great job. All right, guys, you did a wonderful job on that game. The fact that you took the time and played it, it means a lot to me. So, with that going on, what I want you guys to do is click on the globe so you can get your copy of the presentation to type on. And we will start on slide 4. Please type OK to confirm that you opened it because I believe that I have it set up where you cannot go nowhere without typing in the answer box. So if you just type a simple OK, oh yeah, this only for the student version. Perfect. All right. Now, I gave you guys a little bit about the premise when it comes to working with fractions, where you divide the numerator by the denominator. So I want to focus on one part of our fractions to decimals relationship, and that relates to the multiples that we need the denominator to be in order to have a repeated decimal, such as a multiple of 3, 7, and 11. All right. Now, with this, I want to focus more so on the lucky number 7. And the reason why the 7 is so lucky is because of the fact that the decimals, it repeats in a cycle. For instance, we got 1/7. The decimal is going to be 0.142857. And now, when you move on to 2/7, it's going to be 0.25, yeah, 0.285714. My apologies. And then when you have 3/7, it's going to be 0.428571, and so on. So it moves around like a cycle. And you can see it displayed well when you use the 7th circle. For 1/7, we start at 1 and we end all the way at the 7. For 2/7, we start at 2 because it's the next highest number. And we go clockwise until we get to the 4. And then 3/7, we start at the 4, go clockwise until we get to the 1. And 4/7, we start at the 5, go clockwise until we get all the way to the 8. And 5/7, we start at the 7, go around clockwise until we get to the 5. And for 6/7, we start at the 8, go around clockwise until we get to the 2. So, people, I gave an example on the steps that you should take. So, I made it so you can click on slide 3 to find all of the values of 2/7, 3/7, 4/7, 5/7, 6/7. So to do this, we're going to start with the least number and go clockwise around the circle as depicted by the direction of the arrow. we will always start by writing a 0 point. And then we will put the numbers in order like we did in step one. And then what I would tell my students is to put a dot 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 after we go around the circle because it repeats. And also, we're going to keep on following steps 1 and 2 until we're done. Slide 12, originally I had it set up for you to paraphrase what you learned, but in the Nearpod, you can do that if you choose, but I do have it set up for you to do that with the Nearpod. So what I'm about to do is go ahead and demonstrate how to do it with this decimal value. I'm going to demonstrate what I want you guys to do. Let's go to the 7th circle. So I have to take it out of this mode because you're not going to be able to see it on this mode as you do it. And then I'm quickly going to make myself a copy. And I'm going to call this the answer key. Okay. So what I do in a situation like this, I'm just going to go to my circle. And in my circle, I already started with 1. So the second least number is the 2. So what I can do is write down 285714 or just know it. So that's my step 1. Now I'm on step 2 where I'm going to write this 0 point. Dot, dot, dot. That's all I have to do. That's it. That's it. So, who think they have the value of 3 sevens? Now, when we go back to the circle, what should be the next one we start with for 3 sevens? We did the 1. We did the 2. What number comes next? Very close. We cannot forget the 4. We cannot forget the 4. So then what we put is 0.42. Yeah. Yes, go back to the circle. Yeah. Yes, 428. My apologies. I'm over here putting 421. 428 571 dot dot dot. Yep. That's one of my students. All right. Now we can start off with the 5. Okay. Now the 5 comes next because 5 comes after 4. Okay. And then I can go back to the circle, double checking. 571428. You see, I had to redeem myself from that last one. And for this fraction, right here, we already took, we go back to the circle. We've already took care of the one. We already took care of the two. We took care of the four. We took care of the five. What comes next? We already. Oh, good morning, Miss Dees. So nice to have you in the audience. So we already started off with the one. We already started off with the two. We started off with the four. We started off with the five. What comes next? What is our next greatest number? Oh, hey, Eric, nice to see you. So make sure you're on the Nearpod. The Nearpod is in the chat. Okay. So we got 0.7. Yes. 714,285. And there go my 6 digits. And then finally, our last number that we start off with will be 8. 0.8571442. There you go. And that's all you need to do with the seven circle. Just make sure you go back and forth with the pattern. And then here, you can take the time to talk about what you learned, take the time to reflect. So for my students who are here, please make sure you're on the Nearpod. What is important is that you play the time decline on the Nearpod, and that's very important to play the time decline, and also answer these poll questions. Okay. So I do see that Shakira joined us and whatnot. Abbott, is it possible that you can post the Nearpod link in the chat for the students to easily get to? Thank you so much. So, Era J, right under you, the the link is there. So I want you to make sure you're logged in so you can get your extra credit. So far, most people did really enjoy the presentation, and we're going to see if people can replicate this. And the good thing is for my students, when it comes to the presentation, this presentation is also your Google Classroom where you can take the student version. Yep. So, so if there's no further questions, that's all I have for today. That's all I have for today. You can, or you know what? I'll give you guys some more time to answer the questions. And if you got questions in chat, I'll be more than happy to answer them. Yeah, that's it. Like this was a very quick lesson. I wanted to really show you guys that when it comes to working with decimals, that it is a quick thing. and also just kind of keep yourselves used to division. I did this back in September. I did this way back in September. So Eric is one of my newest students. So with the fact that she's one of my newest students and whatnot, she wasn't there. And I believe Shakira is one of my newer students as well. So I was like, I wanted to make sure I go back and reflect on this, which I wish the curriculum will allow us to take more time to reflect on these type of skills. But you got to keep it moving. You got to meet those standards and you got to meet those benchmarks. Any more questions? Well, at this point, just make sure you're doing the surveys and you are, for my students, that you are working on this at your own pace and just make sure you're learning something new. It's been my pleasure giving this presentation and just going over something that I taught before because it's very important that you have the skills to work with numbers before you can apply them. So, Abbott, I truly thank you for everything, and it's been amazing. It's just been an amazing experience, and I do apologize for the stuffy nose, but yeah, my allergies just flared up, but it's all good. Thank you guys